What is up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? Dry here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 things that you might not know about Starfield. But real quickly, I want to point out a disclaimer that for the hardcore Starfield fans out there who's been following this game over the past 2 months, there's going to be some information in this that you probably already know. But if there is, make sure to watch to the end so that way if I got any details wrong, you can correct me in the comments. And for the people out there who are new to the game, hopefully I can share some insight to you of what you can expect to see once Starfield is released. So to start off with, number 1 is something that we saw on Twitter here recently from the actual Starfield Twitter account, is that you are able to loot other enemy ships. Now this might be something that is a given, considering that this is a roleplay game where looting and resources are something that are very valuable, but this goes in a little bit deeper, because not only are you able to take out enemy ships in dogfights or just come across them on other planets potentially, but whenever you come across them and end up killing the enemy combatants in them, you're able to loot the bodies, things inside the ship, but you can also take other ships for your personal use. Whether or not you just want to add some cool looking ship to your fleet or take it to some kind of sell point, you're able to do that in the game, which is going to make pirating and that sort of gameplay super fun and something that I'm going to be looking forward to in Starfield. Now, speaking about ships and exploration, it is also something that's been going around the community recently with some feedback from Todd Howard himself saying that you're not going to be able to use ground transportation. The only thing that we can rely on as far as walking around in Starfield is our jetpacks, but of course this isn't a negative thing because you are able to land your spaceship anywhere that you want to. Now originally I thought that you could only land your spaceship in certain designated landing pads, but that is not the case, because within the navigation menu you're able to pick out certain spots on planets that you want to go and land there yourself, which of course is going to make for a lot of infinite exploration potential. Now of course this is going to be something that might be toned down just a little bit, because if you pick somewhere that's on top of a mountain or somewhere that's not going to be safe to land with the risk of your ship exploding, there could be some kind of AI feature in the game that's going to move your ship over a little bit to make sure that you have a safe landing. But speaking about landing and exploration in this game, something to take into account is that planets are practically limitless, meaning that with over the 1,000 planets that are destined to be in Starfield, you can explore anywhere that you see in this game. Now you might be thinking to yourself that with over 1,000 planets and moons, it's going to take you an incredibly long time to see everything in this game, and you are correct. So with no barriers in Starfield, with being blocked on certain places that you can go to, at least for a while, we can run into the potential of, if you see somewhere that you want to go to and you decide to land there and explore, there is a strong likelihood chance that you might be the only person for a while to stand in that spot and take in that certain view, which once again, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds pretty freaking cool. Now another thing about planets that we also discovered here in the past month or so was that with the over 1,000 planets coming to Starfield, only 10% of these planets are going to contain life. Now this is something that had a lot of YouTubers making videos with recently bad news about Starfield or other things of that nature, but this is something that we could all expect, because just like in the real world, of course, every single planet around us isn't going to contain life, but even with that 10% number that we got, takes into account that there are going to be over 100 planets with some kind of life beings on them. Now a lot of these YouTubers that were talking about this were saying things like, as long as this is something that we can know about in game first, about which planets are going to be those containing life compared to those without life. But really and truly, I prefer not really knowing everything. How cool would it be to have an idea of these different planets that contain life, but then you decide to go somewhere completely differently across the universe and land somewhere not expecting there to be a 20-foot dinosaur of some sort standing right there in front of you. Now of course, with the other planets that aren't going to be containing life in this game, don't look past them, because there is still the potential chance that they are going to hold incredibly valuable resources on them, which will come into play with the different jobs that we can look forward to having in Starfield, with mining being one of the big ones. Now speaking about jobs in Starfield, one of the things that we got a real quick look at throughout the trailer was a perk called the Commerce perk, which may allow the player character to open and run a successful business. Now people went into speculation about this, with being able to potentially open your own business and run that business out of the base that you decide to build, but a lot of the information revolving around the Commerce perk is something that's not known yet, and that we're going to have to wait until the game is released before we learn too much about it. But it opens up for potential massive gameplay possibilities of different businesses that you might be able to to run for whenever you get to that base building factor in the game. You can have a little bit of extra spending money with the business that you open. Now, personally, in my mind, I see myself, if I have the option to, of owning a ship dealership with different ships that I can gather around through scavenging. Now, of course, this is something that you might not be able to do with there being in-game responsibilities as far as businesses that you are allowed to run, but I just like having the idea in my mind that I can sell AI different ships that I destroyed. But ladies and gentlemen, Starfield is set to go for launch in the next 2 months on September 6th, so make sure that if you don't want to spend $70 on the game, that you do have the Xbox Game Pass ready to go on launch. But of course, without further ado, I hope you all have a fantastic and safe day, and until the next one, see ya.